Hello everybody, John back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my last top 5 list of 2015. Yes, 2015 comes to a close this week, and I'm here to give you my top 5 list of the best movies and TV shows of 2015. Yes, seeing as how I don't have enough time in 2015 to do 2 separate lists of my favorite and what I consider to be the best TV shows of 2015 or the best movies of 2015, I decided to mix both lists into one video, so hopefully everybody enjoys. And for this specific list, for both TV shows and movies, I don't have a specific criteria I have in place for both lists like I did last year. Last year I had a specific criteria that I would only pick and choose a specific movie from a specific genre. And specifically when it comes to this particular list, I decided just to pick and choose my personal favorite TV shows and movies of the year and not try to pigeonhole them from, just one movie from animation, one TV show from drama, like that kind of thing. So that's where I'm coming from with this. But I do have a specific mindset when it comes to my list of my personal favorite and what I consider to be the best shows and movies of the year. Seeing as how I will only be choosing movies that I personally really enjoyed and I actually got to watch in full. I will not be choosing any movies or TV shows I didn't watch. I will not be choosing any movies or TV shows that just so happen to be the most critically raved or the most financially successful movies and TV shows in the ratings and or in the box office just for the sake of choosing them. So just because a movie was #1 in the box office for weeks and I've never got to see it in a theater or on demand or in home release, I will not be putting it on the list, considering the fact that I never got to see it or watch the TV show. So that's where I'm coming from with this particular list, so keep that in mind. And as always with all my top 5 lists, they're subjective. It's my personal list, my personal thoughts, so please, in the comment section below, let me know what your personal list is for the best TV shows of the year, and of course the best movies that you got to see this year. And of course, with that being said and done, with every single part in this video, I'll be, starting off with the TV show and then moving off to the movies. So with that being said and done, let's get into this. Coming up in number 5 has to go to the TV show Scream Queens and the movie The Peanuts. Now, obviously, Scream Queens, I reviewed a good couple of episodes of the season, and I fell in love with this show. It's so freaking funny and entertaining, and it's hands down the best horror TV show / one of the best comedies I saw this year. I mean, granted, we got a whole bunch of great horror TV shows and a lot of stinkers, and we got a whole bunch of great comedies, but Scream Queens was the great combination of the both, and I loved every single moment in that show. I loved the finale, I loved the premiere, I loved the characters, I loved the acting, performances, the overall vibe and talent that they put and creativity that they put into the show was phenomenal, and I personally loved it. And if they get the chance to do a season 2, I definitely can't wait to check it out. And come on, Emma Roberts, her character is priceless. Just for the sake of saying it. It's just freaking awesome. It's a great show. But that being said, getting into the Peanuts movie, there's no denying it. I'm a huge Peanuts / Charlie Brown fan. I grew up on Charlie Brown. I grew up on the holiday specials, the animated cartoons, all that, the comic strip. I grew up on that shit, and I loved this movie. We got a lot of great animated movies this year. We got a whole bunch of great ones. This one, however, is the definitive best animated feature I saw this year. It was so freaking great. It was fun. It was lighthearted. It was a great throwback while being new and fresh, but still being very respectful of the source material. We had the original family of the creator come and create this movie, and just everything that was put into this movie. This movie could have been, in a long ways, just a disaster. It could have been terrible. It could have been very disrespectful to the source material or the family, but this one was an A+ runner. It was a great movie. I loved it, and it's hands down my favorite anime movie of the year. Hands down. That being said, moving off of that, going to number 4 on this list has to go to One Punch Man and Creed. Now, starting off with One Punch Man, I fell in love with this cartoon series. The anime is phenomenal, and hell, I even picked up the manga. That's just to show how much I fell in love with this show. I mean, granted, it's already over for the end of the year. Of course, I did my reviews on the last last several episodes of the show, and it was freaking great. It was phenomenal. The animation is perfect. The story is great. I mean, granted, a lot of people are very picky with their animes, but I don't, as a fan of all anime, I don't need a Mr. Robot animated series every freaking week. I don't really need that. I don't need something that's really gonna, break my mind and really engulf into my heart and like tear me apart. I don't really need that all the time. Sometimes it's just great to enjoy and have fun with really stupid, over-the-top animes. And that's what One Punch Man is. But it still has a great story. It has a great entertaining factor. It has great, interesting characters. The animation is perfect. The music is great. I just love One Punch Man, and I hope they continue to go on from here on out, because I love reviewing the show, I love watching the show, and I love reading the manga, and I can't wait to support more of this awesome show. But that being said, Creed, on the other hand, was a lot like the Peanuts movie in the sense that this is basically a bona fide fan film in the sense that this was a movie that was set as a spin-off. And even though I'm not really a big fan of spin-offs and just, reboots or just that overall sense of, just having to rehash a franchise, Creed was the complete opposite of any of that. I mean, yes, it has those factors, but it's such a well put together film with great actors and great performances. And hell, Sylvester Stallone puts probably the best performance I've ever seen him in since probably the original Rocky movies. Like, he is a destroyer, and Michael B. Jordan was phenomenal in the main character role as Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, and the story overall was great. It was phenomenal. It could have went a lot like the Peanuts movie. It could have been, either which way. It could have been a gigantic flop. It could have been a disaster. It could have been a very disrespect to the original franchise and fans of that franchise. And coming from a dude who's actually not that big of a Rocky fan or even a boxing fan, I love this movie. And the fact that it got on my top 5 of best movies of the year says a lot to how great this movie was. It's definitely a recommendation. You should check out this movie. But that being said and done, going to my top 3, going to number 3 on this list has to go to Game of Thrones and Mad Max Fury Road. Now, first off, Game of Thrones is phenomenal. Everybody knows that. It's just one of those things. I mean, Game of Thrones has to be on everyone's list of top 5s or top 10s or top 20s of TV shows of every freaking year. And even though the last season of Game of Thrones, I will admit, isn't my favorite season. It's not the best season, I would say, but they did have an incredible year. They accomplished a lot of crazy shit, and they pulled off a lot of stuff that I never thought they would end up doing in this season. I mean, hell, after the finale of the last season of Game of Thrones, let's just put it out there. I'm gonna fucking review the next season of Game of Thrones. I'm reviewing that shit. After the disaster, the flame wars, the reactions of the internet, after the alleged death of wink wink you know who, allegedly, kinda, really, I definitely need to be a part of that shit, and that was an event. That was a true event, and this show is definitely heading into a very interesting direction that I want to see. Is it gonna end pretty soon? I don't know, but I really want to know and see where this show goes from here. And Game of Thrones, even though a year ago it would have never came on my radar and never been a part of my list of top 5 best anything when it pertains to TV shows, in between that gap, I've really become a huge fan of the show, and this season was great. It was phenomenal. There was a lot of really crazy, cool stuff. It was slow in the middle, and obviously, like I stated before, it's not my favorite season of the show, but it still was fucking great. It was phenomenal, and it was a definite event season. But that being said, Mad Max Fury Road. What is there to be said? It's freaking one of the best movies of the year. It's freaking, and I'm pretty sure on a lot of people's list, the #1 movie of the year. I mean, Tom Hardy was great. Charlize Theron was great. The rebirth of a franchise. I mean, this year alone was a rebirth for a lot of franchises that were pretty much either dead or dying. And Mad Max Fury Road was definitely one of those. And seeing as how, you know what, actually, when I think about it, that is kind of true. This year was the year of rebooting franchises. I mean, how we got the Jurassic World, Rocky, Star Wars, Mad Max. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. There was a lot of reboots this year, but that being said, Mad Max Fury Road was one of the best reboots in the sense that it definitely stays in continuity with the existing franchise, but still brings a new, fresh flavor that Mad Max director George Miller didn't really have in the previous films. And at the end of the day, Mad Max Fury Road was just a badass, manly fucking just. Badass says it all. Badass is the definitive word of Mad Max Fury Road. It's a badass, epic movie. The music is great. The visuals are great. George Miller, coming from a director who, you know, really, a lot of people were like, I don't know, whatever. Like, he did that stupid-ass Pigwin movie or whatever the fuck it was. Like, who really cares about Happy Feet? But then he just comes out this year and pulls out this freaking shit. Hell yeah, I want to see more of that guy's directing style because he put out an epic, awesome movie that was just manly and full of testosterone and just really badass and was one of my favorite movies of the year. Hell, for a long time, it was my #1 favorite movie of the year. But that being said, moving off of that, going to number 2 on this list has to go to Marvel's Daredevil Netflix series and Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, before I get a whole bunch of heat from a whole bunch of Star Wars fans, let's start off with Marvel's Daredevil. Now, for a long period of time, I was dealing with some omens when it comes to this list because I didn't know where I wanted to put Daredevil because Daredevil, for a long time after I finished watching the show in full, I really wanted to consider that the #1 comic book show I've ever seen. But then The Flash happened, and even though I feel like they're definitely two completely different kind of genres of superhero shows, they're definitely neck and neck for the best #1 spot for, you know, the definitive superhero comic book show right now. I mean, it beats all of them. Come on, it defeats every single one of them, those two. But at the end of the day, I had to reconsider things, and Daredevil, even though it is phenomenal and definitely is one of the best, it's definitely #2 when it comes to comic book shows, and it's still a great feat. But overall, Marvel's I have to be honest, like, and this may be possibly disrespectful or blunt, I don't give a shit about Marvel television programs. I don't care about their TV shows. I don't care about their cartoon shows. I don't care anything Marvel when it comes to TV. Mostly due to the fact that they're just not entertaining to me and they're just uninteresting. I love Marvel's movies, but when it comes to their TV shows, as of right now, not pertaining prior MCU, if you know what I'm getting at. Basically, all the cartoons prior to the MCU is where I'm getting at. But I'm just not a big fan of that. I'm not a really big fan of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Agent Carter or any of the other bullshit. Hell, I haven't even seen Jessica Jones yet. Sorry, but I just haven't had the chance to see it yet because of a lack of interest, not to mention mixed reactions to it. But overall, Marvel's Daredevil Netflix series definitely changed my mindset to that. It definitely morphed it, and it completely changed my perspective on Marvel and their future TV programs. Now, granted, Marvel's Daredevil show is for Netflix, but I'm still counting that shit because it's phenomenal. It's a genuine masterpiece. Everything about that show was great. It was a great retelling of an interesting character that's not as mainstream as other characters. Hell, Marvel's Daredevil Netflix series is probably the best Batman TV show ever created. That's not a Batman TV show. Yeah, I'm sorry, Gotham fans, but it's fucking true. It's the best, and I love it. I can't wait for season 2, which shit will be going down very soon. And the show's just great. The performances are great. Freaking Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin. It was amazing. You know, Charlie Cox as Daredevil was phenomenal. Everyone else who was a part of the show was just great, and the style it was just a great mix of everything that we've always really wanted with a show like that, from the comic books, from the movies, and just it was just phenomenal. It was a great freaking telling of this story, and I think the great thing about it is that even though it's somewhat connected to the MCU, it's its own special little thing outside of that. And that's I think the big thing that I really love about Netflix and their Marvel TV shows is that even though they're somewhat connected, and even though they acknowledge that the MCU exists, it's its own separate special little thing, and that's what I love about it. But that being said, moving into the movie side, Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, I know for sure I'm probably going to get heat for that, for make it number 2 and not number 1, but at the end of the day, I love this movie. I can't deny that. Star Wars The Force Awakens was phenomenal. It was definitely an event movie that ended this year perfectly. I mean, hell, you don't need to see any other movies after that. I mean, granted, there is some other good ones outside of Star Wars, but that was the definitive end-all be-all movie of 2015 to end it off. But with that being said and done, as much as I love the movie, and as much as I gave it an amazing rating in my review, which of course if you haven't checked out, please do so, it still wasn't the end-all be-all Star Wars movie for me. I had a lot of high expectations for it. I was highly anticipated for it, and even though it did in a large part reach those expectations, it didn't with all of them, and I think that I have to be true to my opinion and how I honestly feel about Star Wars The Force Awakens. It was great. It was phenomenal. J.J. Abrams did an amazing job. It was amazing freaking film. But it's not the end-all be-all Star Wars movie, or even the end-all be-all movie of 2015 for me. Like, it's definitely number 2. It's definitely neck and neck with my number 1, and that's the best thing I can say about it. And I know a lot of people out there consider it to be the best Star Wars movie, which I respectfully disagree. And I know there's a whole bunch of people who say that Star Wars The Force Awakens is what got them into Star Wars all of a sudden, which is hilarious to think about. And even though I love that, and I appreciate and support Disney continuing this franchise from here on out, I completely support and love that. Star Wars The Force Awakens was amazing, but just not the greatest movie I saw this year, which is why my number 1 pick is the best, in my personal opinion, of movies of 2015. Once again, subjective opinion, keep in mind. But overall, Star Wars The Force Awakens was no slouch. It was amazing. It was phenomenal. It was great. It was entertaining. It was fun. I loved the characters, the actors, the newcomers, the old actors, J.J. Abrams, and Disney, everything that they did to, basically give us Star Wars was awesome, and I love them for doing it, and I love this movie, and I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray, and I can't wait to see Episode 7, Rogue One, Rogue whatever the fuck else they want to, Han Solo spin-off. I can't wait for all that shit. I did it at first, but after seeing this movie, I can't wait for all that shit. But that being said, before I get to my number 1 pick, let's get some honorable mentions out there. For TV shows, The Walking Dead, the newest season was pretty good. Even though, it was a little slow at times, still pretty good. Better Call Saul, another really great show that came out this year. Mr. Robot was also pretty good. Arrow had a pretty decent season this year. And Hannibal was also awesome. Supergirl, pretty good newcomer show. And I guess that's pretty much it for shows that I really liked this year when it comes to honorable mentions. Moving off of that, let's get into the movie side. Inside Out, really nice animated feature. Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, Jurassic World, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man. But that being said, moving off of the honorable mentions, let's get into my number 1 pick, which has to go to the best definitive show/movie of 2015. Coming up number 1, The Flash, CW's The Flash, and The Martian. Now, I'm pretty sure this is probably the most cliched thing to say. I mean, like, The Flash, come on, you already knew this was going to happen. The Flash is just awesome. I mean, granted, let's put it out there. Granted, Season 2 is great. It's freaking fun, entertaining. I love Season 2. Is it better than Season 1? No. I would definitely say that. It's not on par with Season 2, but we don't know. Season 2 is still not officially done. We still have the rest of that season, which will be coming out in late January, if I'm not mistaken. So, really awesome stuff. But there is no denial in this. I love this freaking show. I love it to death. I can't wait to continue to review and watch more episodes. And for a long time now, Marvel's Daredevil was in my number 1 spot, and Flash was number 2 because of how much I love Marvel's Daredevil. But then the finale happened for Season 1, and you have to reevaluate your principles when it comes to that finale, which is the end of Season 1 of The Flash. Now, for me personally, I love Marvel's Daredevil, I love The Flash, but that ending to the finale of The Flash beats out any other finale I saw this year. I mean, that finale left me in tears. And there's no other TV show that came out this year that left me literally in tears. I cried over that finale. It was so emotional, it was so epic, it was so awesome, it was so fun, it was dark. The performances were great. That ending to that season was phenomenal, and I loved it. I personally loved it. And maybe that has a lot to do with how The Flash season 1 really affected me on an emotional level, considering what was happening to me in my personal life at the time, because of, the death of my own mother and the death of The Flash's mother and vice versa. So I had a large connection with the CW's Flash TV show. And when that ending happened, that finale, it just left me in tears. And I can't shy away from that, and I can't disagree with, anyone wanting to put that at number 1. It's really great and fun, and it's a great show, and that finale was amazing. And even though season 2 hasn't really hit me on that same chord as that finale, or even all of season 1, it's still a great show. It's still very consistent. It's freaking the best superhero comic book TV show out right now. Marvel's Daredevil definitely comes very close, but The Flash beats it all. But moving off of that, going to the movies, The Martian. Oh my god, The Martian. The Martian was the best movie I saw all year. Now, granted, we got a shit ton of great, phenomenal movies this year, and all the movies that got on this list are amazing in their own right, and I love them. I mean, the Peanuts movie was great, Creed was great, Mad Max Fury Road was great, Star Wars The Force Awakens was great, but The Martian was the best movie, the greatest, most well-done film that I saw this year. It was so freaking good. It was so great. It was so entertaining. Matt Damon's performance in this movie was great. The technology, the story, the CGI, the other characters' performances, the way we had to watch this character try to survive in a distant planet and try to live and get back to Earth, and it was such a compelling story, and I can't shy away from it. This was the best movie I saw all of 2015. It was the best movie of the year, hands down. Hands down the best, in my personal opinion. I love this movie, and I definitely support Ridley Scott in all the wacky-ass alien prequel movies he wants to do after seeing The Martian, because for a while there, Ridley Scott was really on the fence with me because I really didn't like his previous work, excluding Prometheus, but after seeing this, he could do 1,000 Prometheus movies. I don't give a shit, because this movie was the best movie I saw all year. It was the definitive great movie of the year, my personal opinion. With that being said, with all the movies and TV shows I saw and watched and enjoyed and got on this list, it's all subjective. It's my personal list, my personal thoughts. So, of course, in the comment section below, let me know what you personally thought. What is your top 5 TV shows of the year that you got to watch, that you personally enjoyed? And what is your personal favorite and best movies that you got to see this year? Did you love Jurassic World? Did you love Avengers? Did you love, freaking... I don't know. Tell me. I want to know. In the comment section below, let me know what your personal list is. Let me know your personal thoughts and your personal opinions. With that being said, this is it. This is my top 5 TV show / movies list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, next week I'll be doing my top 5 most anticipated movies of 2016. And possibly TV shows, I don't know yet, but mostly definitely movies. And 2015 left us with great TV shows and great movies, and I can't wait to see 2016, what they have. There's going to be a lot more phenomenal movies, not to mention a shit ton more comic book movies, so let's be on the lookout and enjoy all this stuff. But that being said, shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, @Jonch12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hope you guys had an enjoyable 2015. Awesome TV shows and movies. I hope you guys enjoyed them. And of course, New Year's is right around the corner, so happy New Year's. But that being said, this has been Jonch12.